The topic that I am speaking on today is national security and the future of digital assets. I come from a background in the Army, and having worked in the electronics sector for the last few years, both having led Manufacturers Association of IT companies as the Director General, and then subsequently as Director of Government Affairs in Dell. What I can say is that the paradigm of national security has changed. Earlier, security was about only physical security, and of course now both security and sovereignty in the financial domain is extremely important. And when I say that it's extremely important, is that you have to realize that if today suddenly your phone doesn't function with, the UPI doesn't function, or the UPI interface doesn't function, or your banking app doesn't function, or your RTGS doesn't go through, what calamity or what problems can the nation confound? So, security and trust are at the basic of all digital transactions. And that is where a company like Dell comes in, which looks at infrastructure security from the edge to the cloud. We believe in verifying everything. While you can trust, but you have to verify. So the zero trust framework and verify everything framework is something that's at the basic of the work that we do. The government of India has also come out with a number of measures over the past year or so, which include in the asset tokenization bill. And when I say asset tokenization, you have to realize that the entire asset base of the country getting tokenized is not a defensive regulation, but it's also a strategic integration. The fact that, the 30% tax and the 1% TDS, they are not just fiscal tools. They are also creating a lot of digital trails. And those trails, for a country, these are intelligence tools, which manifest in the form of electronic trails, paper trails, and so on and so forth. There is also a realization and a concerted effort from the government to look at reducing financial risk. And when I say risk, is specifically digital risk. And Gift City, tokenization, the zero trust framework are all actually efforts in that direction. So, having domestic exchanges, retaining sovereignty over those domestic exchanges is extremely essential. I think Khera Saab covered it very, very aptly, that the vision of the Prime Minister has been to bring those transactions back into the country which are happening elsewhere. And the necessity of holding the infrastructure, and when I say infrastructure, it's not about the building, it's actually about the servers. It's also about the algorithm, about the software that is driving those transactions. And having control over them, having decision-making capability over them, ring-fencing them and securing them, and ensuring that in our posterity, when we hand over this country to the next generation, they have a secured house. They have a secured system. Similarly, the government came out with the Digital Data Act, Digital Data Protection Act. There is, of course, a convergence of blockchain in India. And in India, privacy is a right. Everybody deserves to safeguard his privacy. But at the same time, the state is expected to be transparent. And we as a country, we all believe that, and that's why the government runs an entire structure around the right to information. And its effort is always to bring in more transparency. So there is privacy, there is transparency, and then there is the overarching requirement of security. That means you can be transparent, you need to be private also. That means you don't need to tell everything, but you also need everything to be secure within this ambit of privacy and transparency. And that is where a country like India needs to actually have a verification architecture. That means while we trust, while we verify, while we have transparency, while we have security, we need to actually verify all information. And those verification mechanisms actually come in measures or arrangements like having the gift city in India, having verification, tokenization, and such measures. So this is actually a verification architecture which is uniquely Indian. We don't need an architecture which is, somebody else's architecture, because that architecture will never be controlled by the country. And there is where sovereign control is essential. So what are the threat vectors? If I were just to, analyze digital security from a, digital financial security from a national security lens, what are the threat vectors? The first is that there are state-sponsored actors, who are wanting to, whether it is crypto syndicates or whether it is non-state actors or state-sponsored actors. Basically, they want to use the decentralized financial system to bypass sanctioned states or sanctioned individuals to operate in the gray zone. That means they want to move money outside of the system. And that is what needs to be prevented, because that is what is money laundering all about. The second is algorithmic subversion. That means you have an algorithm which is going through, but you subvert the algorithm to do something else. And that is another important aspect which needs to be prevented. And the third is the new giant which is now confronting everybody in this country, in the world, all over, is AI, right? The AI crypto nexus. That means using artificial intelligence, you can actually structure attacks, structure autonomous attacks, structure agents to subvert security measures, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the, I would say, the threat vectors which are confounding digital security in the financial domain for a country like us. I think from that point of view, the digital rupee, the digital bank currency, central digital bank currency, which has come in, the aspect of tokenization which has come in, is creating an immutable ledger. And when you have an immutable ledger, obviously you have the trail and you have verification built around that trail, which enables you to have transactions which are not only seamless from a customer perspective, but also secure. At Dell, what do we do? Dell is basically an infrastructure company. We provide you, or we make, or we manufacture as part of the Make in India vision of the Prime Minister, more than $1 billion worth of IT hardware in India. And that IT hardware stretches across servers, core servers, desktops, laptops, from edge to the cloud. So basically, these infrastructures are not only made in India, have an element of localization that is available within the ecosystem of today. Dell is also a participant in the government's PLI scheme, Production Linked Incentive Scheme. We are a unique company which has its own factory in India, because in the electronic sector we have EMS model, which is basically you give your order to a manufacturer or electronic manufacturing service provider who then makes or delivers you the equipment. But Dell does it on its own, so it's unique in that sense. It does the software integration on its own. So therefore, you have a more verifiable, secure system. And that is witnessed in the fact that the Aadhaar ecosystem of India, the passport ecosystem of India, the army systems, the ISRO systems are all on Dell backbone. I think that's kind of speaks for itself in terms of the proof of the pudding. We also work very closely with and also infrastructure providers to RBI, many of these central banks, not only in India, but also across the world. We also provide infrastructure to many private banks within the country, also organizations which are in the digital wallet domain, such as PhonePe. PhonePe's entire infrastructure also was, in fact, delivered by Dell. We are also one of the unique providers of AI infrastructure, both liquid-cooled as well as air-cooled servers, the latest of the lots. We must also understand that these are, at the moment, giving you immense leverage in terms of creating both products and innovations. And I see in the stalls that I went by across in this space itself, a lot of the companies have actually developed AI solutions and AI innovations, which is very good. And I think that is the way we go forward. Indians as a community have never shied away from adopting technology. They've always been at the forefront. When the computer came first, we shunned the typewriter. We said, hey, this time is over. Now we will go ahead. We will go and employ this computer to do something extra which others are not able to do. And that is where our strength lies. So I think we are all in all in good times. The government is taking a lot of steps, and the industry is benefiting from it, measures all around. And I wish all of us all the very best in this AI age. I will end, with a small analogy. And I would like to say that, hey, there was a time when the advantage was defined in warfare. And since I am from, a background in the army, I would like to go back to it. So if you were on a hill, you had an advantage. If you were on a hill in the 19th century, you had an advantage. That means if somebody was sitting on a hill with a cannon or with a rifle, he could win a battle. He could stop an army. In the 20th century, it was the air. That means anybody who had air superiority, aircrafts in the air, could win the battle. But in today's domain, in today's scenario, it is digital security that will be all pervasive. Because that digital security is not only linking you across amongst yourself, it is also the communication to your aircraft, also the communication to your ships, also the communication to your currency, to your hospitals, to your banking system, to everything that you think of, to your cars. So, that's the way it's got to be. So I'll end here. Thank you to Money 360 Alpha and the organizing team for giving me this opportunity to come and present my views.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you for a very nice and always interesting to meet an ex-army person. Just one single question is, what America did for Venezuela and Iran, they hacked the CCTV system and they could get all the information. Can somebody try to do that for India and succeed?
You're talking about exactly what?
The hacking of the CCTV system by which then the entire feeds were going to use.
Without going into examples, I think hacking of any electronic device is a process of, I mean, I'm not specifically commenting on a case here. Let's be very clear on that, because I don't want to tread into troubled waters, right? So hacking of a device is penetration. You want to penetrate what's its vulnerability, you want to do a vulnerability analysis. It's so simple that if you as a user today go on the web and you want to download tools which are available to do vulnerability tests, vulnerability analysis of your device, and you punch in the device, you will be able to download many tools, not one, many tools, which can do a vulnerability analysis, and they will give you what exactly the vulnerability is. You can then go on to see what are the exploits available to exploit that. So they'll give you tools. You can then ask AI to write a code on what that, how you can exploit that vulnerability. So what I'm trying to say is that, see, being able to do something even for a novice has become easy. For specialists, it's always easy. I mean, specialists are meant to, it's like saying that, hey, can a doctor conduct an operation? A surgeon, can he conduct an operation? Of course he can do. Can a novice who is just in his first year of MBBS conduct an operation? Earlier, no. But now, with all the tools that are available specifically in the public domain, that has become even more easy. So that's, I hope it answers your question.